What's one habit or action that you started doing that completely changed your life?
I started observing what I thought about before I acted on it. I stopped identifying with those thoughts, and instead, my thoughts running me, I became the observer of my thoughts. This allowed me to take personal accountability for my own actions and allowed me to stop blaming people around me and the world for my problems. I am not this body. This body is a vessel that I am in. It's like my vehicle to get around Earth. Changed my life. I haven't had an argument with my husband in over 2 years because of this. I control my emotions. My emotions do not control me.
I stopped putting needles full of drugs into my arm. And then I failed at stopping and resumed. And then I stopped again. And then I failed again. And then I stopped again. It was nasty. And then I met her mom. Hung out for like a month, stopped talking, resumed the drugs. Mama tells me she's pregnant. Like 8 years clean, motherfuckers. Wasn't the easiest, wasn't quick. It was actually pretty hard, and it stayed pretty hard for a pretty long time. Those drugs mess your teeth up. They mess your family dynamic up. They mess your relationships up. They mess your priorities up. I didn't want to stop because I was like, oh, it's going to take years, and it did. Life can be so good, my friends. My biggest concern today is whether or not my house is clean.
Oh, I actually have quite a lot, but I'll share with you one because I don't want to take up all your time. But a while ago I realized, and it's quite a realization, that I'm the person who gets to decide what type of person I'm going to be. And I'm also the person who gets to decide how the world around me affects me. And that sounds quite simple, but once you realize that for real, it really hits you. It's quite a realization. And so at that time I decided I was going to change a lot of my reactions to the world, and part of that was I stopped saying sorry for things that weren't directly my fault or even indirectly my fault. I stopped saying sorry, and that's quite a difficult thing for a New Zealander to do because we say sorry for everything, but it changes your mindset. It changes everything. It changes how you walk and how you associate and how people see you. Really, honestly, it's a great thing. Stop saying sorry for things that aren't your fault.
When I realized that being kind of a soft, more calm, non-aggressive, not hustling, not intense woman was okay, and that I could still have a beautiful life and get things done and accomplish my goals by being the way that I am.
I don't argue with strangers. If I don't know your first and your last name, then you won't get my time, you won't get my money, and you damn sure won't get an explanation out of me. One time, this lady tried to argue with me. She misinterpreted the information I gave her. I don't misinform people at work. She was trying to get rowdy and rough and argue with me. I said, ma'am, I gave you all the information I was paid to give you. I did the transaction as I was supposed to. You can either keep it or return it. But one thing I won't do is sit here and argue with you. And she shut right the fuck up. You know why? Because your ignorance is not my responsibility.
I have one. Super simple. Doesn't hurt you at all. Doesn't cost a damn penny. Every time you go out, grocery store, Target, amusement park, to get your mail, to see a friend, to see a family member, y'all, it does not matter. Pumping gas at a restaurant, y'all, any and everywhere. Try to compliment one person. Just once a day. Just start with once a day, because I know that talking to strangers is hard for a lot of people. Oh my gosh. Guys, there is nothing like seeing the pride that someone gets by being complimented by a complete stranger. Just once a day. Just compliment one person once a day. It makes you feel so warm and cozy, and they get so happy. It's honestly wonderful. Now, I feel like this needs to be said. This is not a message for some creepy ass person to find an excuse to just be a creepy ass person. If you're pretty masculine, compliment another seemingly masculine person. Don't just hit up the next hot person you see. But really, you guys should try.
I deleted every single diet influencer across all my social media platforms, and I replaced them all with body positive influencers, and it literally changed my life. I grew up without any body positivity messages at all, and I judged myself and my body super harshly because of that. And seeing these big, beautiful people living their lives wearing the clothes I wanted to wear was transformative. I started to view my body as worthy and valid and lovable, and dressed however I wanted to dress and did whatever I wanted to do. And that created not only a better body positivity message for my children, but also for some of my larger friends who then also started to wear what they wanted to wear. And then I got to see more body positivity in the world as an influence, and it created this beautiful cycle, and really answered the question of what makes a body valid, lovable, and worthy, and it's simply existing.
The biggest habit that completely changed my life was eating more protein. It helped me curb my binging, because I would pretty much just be hungry after every meal, and at night it was just raining terror in my pantry. Also, the amount of protein I would eat. So each meal I eat a crap ton of protein. For breakfast, it's a bunch of egg whites and eggs. And for lunch, it's either fish or chicken. And the amount of protein I would measure is the size of my hand. So I'm around 5'10". I would look at my hand, and that's how big or how much protein I would consume. And that would help curb my binging, which usually happened at night. And it helped me lose weight as well.
By using fear as my green light for taking action. When it comes to chasing after your dreams, everybody faces fear. And this is the very thing that holds you back from taking action and actualizing your dreams. So the only way to get through it is to go through it. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
I started focusing on my habits. I used to play video games every day, watch TV, and sleep in super late. And when I really started planning out what I wanted to do with my life, I asked myself, what is future me doing right now that I'm not doing? And I realized that our lives are completely different. So now I wake up early, I read my Bible, I try and read a book a day, I work on my business, and I do things that will build good habits, because your habits define who you'll really become.
I got the fuck over myself and started creating TikTok videos every day and participating in silly trends and things that I thought people might laugh at me for. Who cares if they laugh? TikTok is life-changing, and they won't know because they're too afraid of people laughing at them to do it.
Giving my undivided attention to whoever is in front of me. I just stay really, really present and listen very deeply to whoever is talking, and giving them my attention in that way really, oh my God, it does so much for me and it does so much for them. It's something that I wish that we all did for each other. I also extend this to things that I'm doing, tasks that I have. If I am doing it, I'm there. I'm 100% present in the moment, fully conscious as often as I can be. And it has made such a huge difference in my life, not wanting to be somewhere where I'm not.
You guys know what I'm going to say, right? Gratitude journal. Gratitude journaling changed my life. And that evolved into me discovering law of attraction, law of vibration, my magnetic power, how I literally can change my life with my mind, with my vibration, with my attitude towards life. But it started from being grateful. I didn't realize how ungrateful I truly was. You know what we tell our kids all the time? That we are rich. Because we are. I can turn my lights on. I can turn on the air conditioning anytime I want. I open the refrigerator and it's full of food. I never looked at life like that until I discovered the power of gratitude and really practicing it.
I think the biggest game changer for me is realizing that everything on this earth is just a group of systems, right, that work together. And whenever there's a problem, instead of getting mad at an individual or your circumstances, just realize that it's a system that's not working anymore. You wouldn't get mad at your toaster if it just all of a sudden wasn't working all that well, would you? Or maybe you would, I don't know. The point is, there's a system inside it that's not working right. So all you have to do is fix the system and you fix the problem. For instance, if you find yourself late every day going to work, maybe it's not traffic, maybe it's not the people around you that suck at driving, maybe you can get up a little bit earlier, leave the house a little bit earlier, get all your clothes ready the day before, hell, you could shower the day before. That's all part of a system, and once you start doing that, you'll find yourself showing up to work every day on time.
Learning how to properly breathe. Most of us only breathe in our chest, which keeps us in a state of fight or flight, whereas breathing into our bellies moves us into a state of rest and digest.
Intentionally meeting new people. In November 2015, I started a project to spend 1 hour one-on-one with 10,000 different people. And I've grown more from this project than any other thing I've done in my entire life. Because when you meet new people, you learn that there is an entire spectrum of life paths out there that exist outside of what you know and the people close to you know. There are people in this world who are your age who've lost both their parents already. There are people who had to drop out of college not because they're not smart or they're not motivated, but because they had to help their parents pay rent on their apartments. There are people running incredibly successful businesses with high school diplomas and no further education. There are songs, books, podcasts, movies out there that you would absolutely love, but may never hear about if you don't talk to the people around you. The single greatest thing that we can do to enrich our lives is to connect with the people around us. And when you do this intentionally, you're intentionally creating a better future for yourself.
I have two. The first one is anytime that I am feeling depressed and all I want to do is lay down, especially when I've just woken up and I don't have much to do that day and I feel like I just want to lay like in bed. Instead of laying in bed, even if all I'm going to do is lay there or scroll on my phone or whatever, I go outside and lay outside instead. That completely changed my life. The second one is I am incredibly intentional about the language that I use to describe myself and my experiences. I stopped making jokes about harming myself. I stopped making jokes about wanting to die. I stopped talking about myself that way. Even if those are things that I felt, I learned how to express that differently, and changing that language made a huge difference in how I felt.
Lifting weights and boxing. So technically it's two. But it gave me an insane level of confidence and power in myself and my body. And it showed me just how capable I actually am. Sometimes females fear doing the types of exercises that are more manly, but it's bullshit. So my best advice is find a movement that makes you feel powerful as shit. It might just change your life.
I started loving myself, accepting myself while I worked towards becoming a better self. I realized that loving yourself starts with liking yourself, which starts with respecting yourself, which starts with thinking of yourself in positive ways. You see, you are the energy that you attract. So when you hate yourself, disrespect yourself, and have negative self-talk, those are the things that you attract. Not loving yourself or having negative thought patterns all the time, it's kind of like driving through life with your emergency brake on. It's always going to hold you back. I didn't want that. I wanted to achieve things, big things. I wanted to have healthy relationships. I wanted to have success in my career. And all of those things are greatly impacted by what goes on up here. It takes work, it's not easy, but I'll leave you with this. It's not who you are that holds you back. It's who you think you're not that does.
Meditation. Because during meditation, you forget about yourself. You become selfless. You understand that you're simply an energy. You become nobody. And the only thing that starts to become real when you're meditating, it's your thoughts. And that is powerful because then you can slowly start to add new possibilities into your thoughts. Because when you're meditating, you have the ability to lower the volume of your thoughts. And then the new thoughts you add start to become your new experience, your new reality. And that is why meditation can be so powerful.
Minding my business, minding my own business and staying in my own lane. Not being worried about what other people are doing, how they doing it, or when they
Completely changing my negative self-talk. So I learned this about 14 years ago. And when you hear things in your head like you're too old, you're going to look stupid, you're going to fail at this, you don't have enough experience or training or whatever it is, while we can't totally eradicate that voice, we're still going to have it. We can learn how to manage it. So what I do now when I hear that, I think to myself something like, well, that just happened, or isn't that interesting? Or I heard you. And it's about course correcting, but also it's interrupting the pattern of thoughts. Your brain is malleable. Science tells us we can actually change thought patterns and the neural pathways. So that's what I do. It has completely changed my life. It's given me more confidence. It's given me more resilience and just made my life so much more fulfilling and happier. And I take more action.
Not taking things so personally. Realizing that the universe doesn't give a fuck about me and doesn't even know I exist. So how can it throw something bad at me if it doesn't know I'm even there? Realizing that there's no such thing as good and bad, it just is what it is. And what will be, will be.
So every time I've been making a decision lately, I've been asking myself, is this decision betraying myself? It's a technique that my therapist taught me where you list out all your values, and then with every decision that you make, you just ask yourself, is this taking me in the direction of my values or not? And it's crazy how many times people's actions do not align. So anyways, just ask yourself, am I betraying myself with that decision? It's been so helpful for me.
I stopped reading the subtext of people. So if they told me there was no problem, I operated like there was no problem unless they told me otherwise. This helped my anxiety so much because being anxious, you're just constantly trying to figure out what the underlying meaning behind what they say is. You're micromanaging all their processes, their emotions, their lives, and honestly, it was exhausting. And it's been the most freeing thing I've ever done for myself. It's no longer my thing to take care of. It's up to them. I just take people at face value. I let them tell me what they want to tell me. And, if they aren't being honest and they have more going on and they're upset that I didn't see it, that's on them.